Hey guys, just before I begin
Buy
this video,
properties. Buy properties. Hey Mihir, buy properties.
Buy stocks. Hey Mihir, buy stocks.
Buy properties.
Buy stocks.
Buy properties.
Buy stocks. Hey
what do I invest in? Have you been in a similar situation where either your friends, families, or even colleagues have been persuading you to join this side? My name is Mihir, and in this video, I'll be covering whether you should go based on property or stocks, depending on your individual situation. In the ideal world, it would be best to invest in both of these. However, depending on the time you have available, alongside how much effort you're willing to put in, will allow me to determine which financial vehicle you should use and build predominantly. Let's say your goal was to make as much money as possible within a 10-year time frame period. Okay, so let's say you deposited $2,000 every month into a financial vehicle known as an ETF, okay, which gives you 5% growth every year. And the reason I've chosen an ETF rather than bank is because of the bank's interest rates are either below inflation, at inflation, or slightly higher. However, you have to comply to many policies. Okay, so $2,000 every month equates to $24,000 every year. And assuming that you kept this going on for 10 years, you'd make a return of $312,000, which isn't bad at all. But personally, I love property, and I'll explain to you why. The reason why I love property is because almost all areas will grow. Docklands. And if they do grow, even the lowest growing areas, they will grow at least 3 to 4%. Some apartments in Docklands were negative. Okay, I'll stop that now. As I was saying before, poor capital growth areas give returns of 3 to 4% per year, and most people can easily afford this. In my example, I'll be talking about Cranbourne. Say for instance, you purchased a property which cost $500,000 through a principal interest loan. And let's assume that the property goes 3% every year. So after a 10-year time frame, the property, which was $500,000, would now be worth $650,000. So it's gone from $500,000 to $650,000, and the difference between those two numbers is $150,000, which is really sleek. However, as we know, the property market keeps on rising and crashing, and a property cycle lasts around 7 years, so we will have at least one in a 10-year time frame. We should assume the property will be slightly higher. And I'm also assuming this property has a decent walk score. And if you're not sure what a walk score is essentially how far things like public transport, shops, schools, restaurants are in relation to a walking distance from your property. So the higher it is, the higher the property would grow. Due to the factors I've listed before, I'm assuming the property will be worth $750,000 after the 10-year time frame. As you can easily see with the numbers, you've made $250,000 worth of capital gains on your property. However, this part is going to blow your mind. Now, obviously you've been paying off your mortgage during these 10 years. Now I'm assuming you have bought a 30-year home loan with an interest rate of 3% with an LVR of 100%. Okay, I know if you go above 80, you have lender's mortgage insurance. However, in terms of property investors, it's not too much of an issue or a nuisance. However, I'll cover that more in future videos, why it isn't. But for this video, I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible, hence why I haven't included lender's mortgage insurance. As we got 100% LVR, we're paying $2,100 a month for that $500,000 loan, which in 30 years time would be $760,000. After 10 years, $120,000 is spent on principal. And I'll just quickly explain this. So in the principal and interest loan, what happens is you're paying off the bank's interest at the start. You really don't pay off principal. And what principal is basically the equity. You can think of it like that, the most simplest way. So it's generally 4 to 1, 5 to 1 sort of ratio in what you pay. So during the first few years of your property you bought, the mortgage is mainly paying off the interest. Later on, it pays more of the principal. So that's when you gain more and more of the equity. So we've had $120,000 principal paid off. So that means that's the equity earned, alongside $250,000 in capital gains. So we're left with $370,000 worth of equity after 10 years in a low growth suburb such as Cranbourne. But guess what? I still haven't told you the best part. If you're currently enjoying this video, please hit like, please subscribe, as it will help me to produce more of these videos for you guys. And in the future, I'll be making a video related to why your house is a noose, ironically. Now let me get to the juicy part, okay? This is why I like property over stocks. See, with the stocks, okay, we had good growth. We reached $312,000. We did nothing. We just kept putting $2,000 every month in an ETF that resulted in a 5% yield. However, see, the difference between property and stocks and why many investors pick one over the other is a little word or a little thing known as tax. The stocks will be taxed at the highest marginal tax rate of 47%. But now let's assume you're smart, you salary sacrifice, you might have put it to a trust, or you've basically found ways to save your money through tax. Let's go through all those variables. Let's assume you reduced it to 30%, you did all the smart things. But now let me get this point through you. The thing with property is you can draw a line of credit, and I'll explain what that is in another video. However, what you can do with a line of credit is that you would have to pay no tax at all. You can take $370,000 straight from your house and pay no tax at all. It's essentially like a big credit card, and there's no interest rate, which is amazing. You can either fund holidays, vacations, buy cars, buy even more properties. You can do many things. But let me get this straight, okay? Don't get confused with redraw and line of credit. A redraw facility is a whole nother thing. Do not get into that. Please do not get into a redraw. A line of credit, on the other hand, is another thing. And I'll make a video differentiating between a redraw and a line of credit. Now, like I was mentioning before, you have to pay no tax on a line of credit. Now, let's assume we went with the stock approach, okay? Like I said, that after 10 years, it will be $312,000 with $2,000 monthly deposits and a yield rate of 5%. However, I added dividends just in case to make it equal to property, just to show you how superior property is. Okay, so an individual who made $370,000 pre-tax, assuming they're getting taxed at 47%, would have to pay $146,000 in tax. Now, like I said before, you could be smart, you could get reduced to like 30% through salary sacrificing, trust structures, many other ways. However, it's clear, you don't have to look at these numbers because they're so obvious that property obviously triumphs stocks. I'll give you the briefest summary possible. If you want the highest ROI, the highest return on investment, and you're willing to put in the work in, I highly suggest you go in property. Because as I've shown you with the numbers themselves, you can easily see that the property is worth it. However, if you're someone who don't have much time, you obviously got a full-time job, you got kids, you got other responsibilities, I suggest you put money in stocks and not in the bank, because you'll still get much greater return in ETFs and things like that. And if you have dividends, sort of ETFs, then you'd be getting a regular payment every month or every quarter, which is pretty good as well. However, like I stated, if you want the greatest ROI, the greatest return on investment on your money, I suggest you go with properties. The thing many property investors get wrong is that they go for cash flow. Like, I understand, like, you've read Robert Kiyosaki and things like cash flow is important. However, who in their right mind would make like $370,000 in 10 years, okay, no tax, through rentals? You would not make that much money through rentals at all. And what smart property investors do is they get an investment property, they get a tenant, things like that, then they draw a line of credit and they use that equity to purchase another property, and then it keeps going. And eventually after 10 years or something, they could easily sell it off, and then they could be positive cash flow if they wanted to. Hey guys, thanks for watching my video. If you enjoyed it, please hit like, click subscribe, and click on the notification bell icon so you don't miss out on any more of these videos I make. It's all thanks to you guys I can produce more of these videos, and if you do these things, it will help me out in the long run, so please do them. Lastly, my next video will be based on why home ownership is a noose. And the reason why home ownership is a noose is because it sets people back financially, because we've been told by many people, friends, parents, colleagues, things like that, it's anyone around us, that your house is the best investment. However, that's not always the case, and I'll dissect and examine that in the future video. And lastly, thanks for watching. Goodbye.